Technology is changing the way we shop, and the retail industry is embracing these innovations to create a better shopping experience for customers. From video surveillance to managed Wi-Fi, retailers are using technology to improve their operations and boost their bottom line. Video surveillance is a critical component of retail security. By using advanced security cameras and monitoring systems, retailers can deter theft, protect their assets, and create a safe shopping environment for their customers. They can even use this system to count the number of customers coming and going. As electric vehicles become more popular, retailers are installing EV chargers to attract and retain customers. These chargers provide a convenient and environmentally friendly way for customers to charge their cars while they shop. Digital signage is a powerful tool for retailers. By using digital displays, retailers can promote products, offer deals, and showcase their brand. This technology can increase sales, improve customer engagement, and enhance the overall shopping experience. Cellular backup internet is essential for retailers who require a stable and reliable internet connection. By using a cellular backup router, retailers can ensure that their point-of-sale systems and other critical cloud applications remain operational even in the event of an internet outage. Inventory tracking solutions enables retailers to monitor their inventory in real time, ensuring that they always have the products that customers want in stock. By using this technology, retailers can reduce waste, optimize their inventory levels, and increase their sales, and track frequent visitors and use targeted marketing. As technology continues to evolve, retailers are using these innovations to create a better shopping experience for their customers. By using video surveillance, EV chargers, cellular backup internet, inventory tracking, and managed Wi-Fi, retailers can improve their operations and enhance the shopping experience for their customers, as well as improving the bottom line. Go ahead and kick us off just in the interest of time. And again, this is being recorded. And so if something happens, it's an hour and a half I'm asking for you. We probably should be done a little before that, maybe, barring any questions. So yeah, this is a action-packed event. I mean, we have 6 suppliers, 6 infomercials. I call it speed dating practically. You're going to hear just enough. And, you know, for our selling partners, obviously, the suppliers will be reaching out to you next week. I encourage you to take them up on that follow-up, because in 10 minutes, you're going to hear enough of the offering and the solution and the problems it solves, but there's always more to learn, right? There's always more, especially if you could get a demo set up for any customers you have in mind. And as you're listening to these short presentations today, keep in mind, as you think of your customers, you go, oh, I got a customer that might be, write it down. We all know what's going to happen at the end of this. You're going to go back to your lives. You're going to get busy. You're going to get ready for the weekend, and then next week comes. So write down, make sure you have a piece of paper and pen handy, and write down the names of these businesses as they pop in your head, because it's going to be rapid fire. 6 solutions in an hour and a half, and that's counting me and Jason Kaufman. I'm going to do a quick overview for you guys. So let me share this. People are still coming in. Great. So this is, I think, the 4th one in a series I have. Done hospitality, healthcare, and MDUs, multi-dwelling units, and this being the 4th around retail. And by no means, my disclaimer is we're not covering everything in these vertical specifics. We're really covering the obviously the areas that we have suppliers that have solutions that you can sell. So that's pretty important as well. So to jump in, our agenda for this next hour and a half, Jason and I are going to kick off a overview, and then we're going to have Windstream, you know, a newcomer to this call. We'll have some surprising technology. I won't steal their thunder, but in 10 minutes, you're going to understand what Windstream has in the area of mobility, IoT, and technology for retail. And then we're going to hand it off, screen sharing, nice and simple, screen sharing, each presenter ready wireless, a comeback, a repeat speaker, same for Fortify, then Modus, Claro, and Epic IO. So again, pay attention, and if something comes up, you got to take a call, you got to leave, just know it's going to be recorded. And as long as you promise you're going to watch the recording, I understand you got to do what you got to do. Again, I want to thank the suppliers. Obviously, Telarus and has great relationships with all of our selling partners, but we equally have relationships with our suppliers. We really couldn't have these events without them. And before we bring Jason on, and again, Jason, I'm just going to do a quick, kind of 10-minute overview, but I just want to remind you, if you haven't seen this, to me, this is probably one of the easiest, simplest, and best tools we have. Checklist.telarus.com. You notice there's no logo on it, so you could print this out and put your own logo on it. I actually have some partners that laminate this. We've all had the case, and I do these in person, and I mention this, everyone in the room nods their head and sighs when you find out one of your best clients just bought something that you could have sold them. And when you say, gosh, why didn't you let me know? I could have helped you with some IoT or wireless backup, or I could have helped you with cybersecurity. Oh, I didn't know you did that. So this is your best way to make sure your top customers know you can pretty much do it all. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'd encourage you to check out checklist at Telarus.com. So Jason Kaufman, you're with us still, right?
Yep, still here.
Excellent. So we have some 6 bullets up there, from RFID, cellular connectivity. We used to always push cellular connectivity for backups, but we're seeing more and more with advanced 4G and of course 5G. Folks are using, they're getting rid of, they're cutting the cable altogether and just going cellular, because a lot of retail stores don't need tons of heavy lifting. It's just point of sale, maybe a couple of UCAS lines and some inventory control. Supply chain is always a big part of retail. In fact, I just saw a report yesterday. I was actually on the West Coast, and they were concerned around supply chain, even getting ready for back to school in 3 months, saying that there's already indications that there's bottlenecks at the ports, not enough trucking companies, and the fuel cost, all the above, labor costs, labor availability, several factors are already causing a concern around supply chain. Again, beacon technology, tracking things, smart shelves and digital signage. We're going to hit a little bit on digital signage, as well as managed Wi-Fi. And this is just a couple of them. Jason, what are you seeing? What kind of calls have you had with partners recently that would be relevant to today?
Yeah. So the first one I'd like to touch on is that cellular connectivity that you mentioned, not just being able to get away from the wireline connection, because cellular connectivity has just, improved so much in the last couple of years. But what in those scenarios where you have a retail shop in an area where you can't, get into the local area network there at a mall or an airport, or even we've had some gas stations that were in the middle of nowhere that needed some form of connectivity. So that's really been the solving point there, either using some form of cellular that if there's good connection in the area, or potentially even getting them a satellite connection. Obviously I like to, talk about cellular first over satellite, but I mean, there's really some compelling arguments there on some of the speeds and data throughputs now with the unlimited 5G rollouts. Hey, Chris, you want to go back to
and what kind of questions do you, as a sales engineer, what kind of questions do you typically need answers to help make recommendations in that area?
For the connectivity, it's more around, we really need the address or the coordinates of the location to try to see, what options we have out there. I mean, there's many different tools you could see who has fiber build outs, who can do broadband, who can, which carriers have the nearest cell tower, kind of what the throughput's in the area for that cell tower. Or, that's where the satellite kind of, satellite conversation comes in, as if there's none of the above. But yeah, there's many tools that Telarus resources have to be able to find out what the best scenario is for those locations. And again, it's just an address, preferably, or worst case GPS coordinates.
Excellent. And is there any other technologies that you're seeing a trend? So many of this stuff on the swim lane, right? It can, there's multiple use cases, and I get asked a lot about use cases, and I just remind folks, it's like, don't get so hung up on use cases as much as every customer every retailer or business has unique problems and challenges and business problems, and that's how we're trying to solve business problems with technology. Any other thoughts around other technologies, other parts of the swim lane that you've had calls with partners helping them close deals?
Yeah, and I mean, really, you spoke about most of them. It's really cutting down into three categories: operational efficiency, revenue generation, or safety and security. So looking at, the supply chain stuff, we're really looking at operational efficiency. One thing that, like, especially talking about a retail shop, the one thing that they have that's to their detriment is, if somebody goes online and goes to like Amazon or eBay or something like that, and they order something, or even an online retail shop that's the same equivalent to the locations, the first thing that their expectations are is they're not going to have something immediately they can walk out of that store with. There's some form of delay before they get the product that they're looking for, and that's expected. But when you go to a shop, you're physically there and you're touching something, you're expecting to physically have it and walk out of the store with it. So when you're looking at supply chain management and smart shelving, it's really to make sure that inventory item is there, and also that there's enough for demand, depending on, what the, stacking 1, 2, 3 months or even a year of what that demand looks like. One of the cool things we've actually done outside of the retail shops is, looking at those fast food joints where you're sitting in front and you're telling them, what food you want to stack on your bowl or your plate, always double meat. That's the rule. But, they want to see how much food they need to prep because they want to also minimize waste, but they also want to make sure they have enough in case somebody comes in and wants to order that specific item. So when we talk about retail, we're not just talking about something that has like a box on a shelf that has a product inside of it. Retail expands also into the food industry, and that's a cool one to where we mixed in not only from a volume and weight sensor where people are putting their trays at, but also using camera technology to watch, okay, how much inventory do we have in the freezers and the fridges? How much do we have actually on the buffet table area, and how much is on prep on the actual stove itself? So taking all these different metrics together and using data pipelining on the back end and pulling all these different data resources, they can actually get an educated response on, hey, we need this time of day, this specific hour block, produce this much amount of this food item. I'm trying not to be very, exact on what food items there are because it'll give away what customer that is, because they're very known for their orange chicken. But yeah, so a lot of different fun use cases that come out of this. So, coming back to the retail side from supply chain, it's not just, getting from the distribution center to the inventory warehouse to the product actually on the shelf. There's multiple different touch points there, but it's also ensuring, let's say we're in like a food item, ensuring that food item gets there, as fresh as possible, from contaminants and all that. There's many things that a normal manual business process where somebody has to, do those check boxes. You go into an inventory warehouse, you're going to see a checklist of different items that somebody manually has to check. Same thing if you go into a bathroom, somebody has to physically go in and do that. How can we optimize that and automate it to where somebody has to look at a single pane of glass and get all the metrics that they need, or notify something falls out of, normal, something like a problem actually happens. That's when a manager or somebody is notified. So not only you're optimizing the time it takes to get something on the shelf, but you're optimizing how many people it needs to take to get there. So supply chain is really huge right now, whether it's looking at the inventory counts on the smart shelving, but also to people when they come into the retail shops or the stores themselves. When we're looking at tracking people, it's what directions do they go? Can you map out as soon as you or I walk into a building, where I'm going when I go through those different lanes? Am I going directly like on the outside corners and then coming into the middle? Or am I going in, getting what I need on a specific aisle? Or am I just walking around clueless trying to figure out what I want for the day? But where am I going in those instances? You can track people, and then that's when, the smart shelving and the digital signage comes in, because if I'm going to pass this specific point and 90% of people pass this point when they come in, you can give them a quick advertisement and a coupon depending on their location, or show on a screen right there a specific advertisement. And what you can do is also potentially track them to where they need to go. Let's say they're searching something online and they're like, hey, I want this specific item, where do I need to go here? You start to see companies like Target, Walmart, a lot of those big retail shops actually give you like an aisle number and then a specific area on where it is. But somebody can't really track down there and look for these specific aisle numbers all the time if it's on the other side of the store. So tracking them there as well. But going back to the people tracking side of the house, one of the things that people are actually making a lot of money on with this shelving is optimal shelf placement. So where the retail shops really make their money is having those companies pay for that premium area. So right where that heavy foot traffic and that heat mapping tells you where the most people go, that's going to be the most expensive shelving in the entire building. And then it just builds off from there where the least amount of people go. So now we're starting to get into the revenue side of the house. Attaching additional revenue and proving why you're charging more for this specific shelf space than other spots within the warehouse. Chris, are you kind of seeing that as well when you guys?
Yeah,
when you're out there
absolutely.
talking?
I think it's about that actionable data. To your point, to be able to show their vendors the heat maps and show them the analytics. That's one of the big values of IoT. And I know we're running short on your time here. Just real quick, share with us how partners, what's the best way to get to a sales engineer on the Telarus team? Maybe kind of quick overview. It is by region, but yet, as I've already pointed out, you're kind of a dotted line to the IoT mobility practice as well. What's the best ways people can get a hold of you?
Yeah. So call, text, email. The easiest way is, especially if you want to get on a meeting, is just send me an email, say, hey, let me get some time on your calendar. I'll send you an availability link. That's the easiest thing. But yeah, the regional SE resources as well are very proficient now in IoT. We actually did an internal team training, and also, very good relationships with the providers that are on the call here. So very familiar with, their tech stack solutions and use cases. But, there's multiple resources at your disposal, and you can have all of our, direct contact lines to get a hold of us. You don't need to go through and, set up like a form that says, all this different detail about stuff that you don't know what any of that information is yet. Let us help you get that information. We're customer facing too. We can even white label as your company. I don't have to be part of Telarus. I could be a random sales engineer, walked off street, like what I heard, stayed for the conversation. But that's entirely up to you. We really are for that built for you model.
Fantastic. Well, Jason, thanks so much for joining and dropping in and sharing some knowledge. As I said, kind of rapid fire. We're about to start 6 10-minute presentations. Windstream, you're up. Take it away.
All right. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Mandy. I am on our vertical solutions team. I'm specialized in retail. I have spent the last few years working with and in the channel, so especially excited to be with you guys today. So I'm going to dive right in. The first thing we wanted to highlight is a few trends that we're seeing in retail and why they matter to us. So omni-channel customer experience is a big deal in this space right now. I think a lot of times people hear omni-channel and hear contact center, but really a lot of the things we're seeing is kind of a merging of physical and digital experiences. Some of the things they talked about with smart shelving and digital signage. Think of things like that. And what we've seen is sometimes our IT teams that we work with are not prepared for the things that the business are going to ask for them, because it takes time to make sure your network and security environment is prepared to meet those requirements when you've got either loss prevention or marketing operations coming and saying, we want to roll out all this digital signage and we want to be pushing content to the stores. And turns out your 2,400 sites have half of them on T1s. That is a lift to move. So we can help you work with your partner, your customers, to make sure you're getting in front of those things, and they can help be prepared for what the business is going to ask of them. With the influx of technology that is going into all these stores, simplifying vendor management is becoming a more and more important thing for the IT teams. We can help there. If you have customers that have they have multiple brands, they've grown by acquisition, or they just don't really have a good handle on what they have and a bunch of disparate systems, standardizing that technology across the board makes their lives a lot easier. We can help you there. And then with all that, the amount of items and things in their stores, IoT devices that they have to make sure is secure, but also there is just recently announced a new PCI 4.0 requirements. We can help you keep your customers kind of ahead of that, and we'll dive into how we do that now. So this is a pretty high level look at our overall solution set. Whether it's from Wi-Fi, LAN services, cameras, connectivity. we can provide all of it. And a lot of times what we see is we might land somewhere where maybe what they need right now is they need to improve their Wi-Fi in their stores. They need heat mapping. They want, analytics on who's coming into the stores, how many people, time of day. We can provide that. And then once we're an approved vendor, it becomes much simpler to go in there with you and start adding all these other things to give them one team, one knock, one platform, simplify the management, and make sure it's a really cohesive environment. Some sample customers and how we've been able to these are all partner accounts, these are all partner wins. I think the thing you'll see here is multi-product. That's where we bring a lot of value. Managed LAN, in there you'll see always it's the Wi-Fi and the switches. I'm going to highlight this 400 site retailer first. So this was a customer where we went in with the partner and we were able to sell kind of a fully managed solution for one of their brands. We sold that. We started with managed security, Wi-Fi, and connectivity. And over time, we added more and more services, and they were, happy enough that they have now started rolling out to all of the additional brands. The estimated final billing is going to be about $350K a month. And what's been really great about this with that partner is we've rolled up our sleeves with them to really solution sell, not just kind of going back to here. I think one thing you'll see is we say it's Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi and access points. We don't specifically list a certain platform because we have multiple options and pretty much all of these solutions. We want to work with you to find the right platform for your customer instead of trying to fit your customer into the platform we have. And why that matters is every environment's different. It's always evolving. And we can be really flexible, both from solution, deal structure, kind of whatever it takes to make this make sense for your customers. And so with that retailer, we've been able to quickly add quite a bit of revenue for this partner. Going to this customer here, this 1,500 site car rental company, we started with a hosted voice replacement. It was a relatively, for the size of the customer, small spend, earned trust, did a good job there, and added more products over time. And what's been really exciting is in the last couple months, we did a very large deal with them to take over all of their Wi-Fi and connectivity. And we actually ended up onboarding an entirely new OEM and solution set to take care of this customer. So really what I hope you'll take away from that is we are an engineering shop. We want to every time do a deep dive with you. Our engineers will go out with you and figure out what is the right thing for this customer. And for the right deals, we have a tremendous amount of flexibility in bringing on the right technologies to take care of them. How are we different? There's a few things. Going back to some of those trends we talked about earlier on, when you have a small IT staff supporting thousands of locations and there's this rapid expansion of technologies getting put into these stores, having less finger pointing, less relationships to manage, a cohesive environment becomes more and more important. And that's really what we bring to the table by having these multiple solution sets. Again, the flexible solution sets, we will help you find the right solution, the right platform, do the discovery. If this a piece of technology that's not quite in your comfort zone, we have the people that can go in. We'll also, work closely with the Telarus team and their engineers to make sure we're all going in and asking the right questions, designing the right solution, and, building the right solution set. We also have, I didn't highlight it in here, but we can get really flexible in deal structure. And sometimes that's the thing that pushes us, along with the partner over the finish line of getting a deal. Make sure the solution's right, make sure it's structured the right way, gives them the right protections and, flexibility within their contracts. We have, vertical specific expertise. So just as a teaser, we're still kind of building this, but we're going to have a kind of what's new with the new PCI 4.0 kind of educational flyer coming out for our partners and a little bit of a customized program around helping your customers do those gap analysis, figure out what it is, and then they'll get a full report. You'll get a full report on everything that it's going to take to get them, up and running and meeting the new compliance requirements, which gives you a roadmap of all the managed services that you can go in and sell them and help them get to where they need to be. We also have our co-selling model. What's great about that is our direct reps have access to all sorts of analytics tools that are account specific. So if you're in we have a customer right now, we're working with a partner. How we all got in is they need to replace all their POTS lines, and they have a specific requirement that they couldn't meet related to, it's a large grocery chain. They have to have these sensors in their big freezers, a safety sensors that tells them every time that door opens and gives employees, if they get stuck in the freezer, a way to get help. And so we partnered with then a different IoT partner that's selling them directly to build out an entire solution that supports that, to make sure that it will never go down and they can meet the OSHA requirements there. And now that we've started that conversation, we've been able to work with the partner to expand the conversation to talk about a lot more, partially because of these analytics tools where we could see the different things that the customer is Googling. So I'm not sure how far I am through the 10 minutes, but I tried to move as quickly as I can since I knew it wasn't very fast.
I think we got about a minute left, Mandy.
Oh, perfect. Well, that really high level is kind of what we can do. If you'd like to learn more about it, there's a lot that we do. So happy to spend more time with you. We like to make it easy. You want to get in contact with us, contact your local channel manager, contact Telarus if you're not sure who that person is, and they will engage the right teams and get you off and running.
And I will also be following up with an email after this as well. I can send out our slides and also a link to that channel manager map, so you've got some additional resources. But thank you so much, Mandy. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah, great presentation. That was well done, Mandy. You get an A+ for a first timer, rookie of the week at least. And that freezer example, I mean, tragedy. A couple of weeks ago, a manager at a fast serve restaurant actually died because they were closing up, and she got locked in the freezer walk-in, and her, it was just very, very tragic story that could have been prevented with technology. And you hate to sell them that kind of fear, uncertainty, doubt, but it's a real concern. Doesn't make the news every time, but boy. With that, keep us on track here. Ready Wireless, you're up. Take it away.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
You got me okay? I'm
Yep.
unmuted, all of that good stuff. Thank you very much. Tough act to follow. And Mandy, we should talk after this about some of those co-sell opportunities.
Would love to.
Really appreciate that. My name's Fred Hamiser, co-founder and chief revenue officer for Ready Wireless. We've been a partner of Telarus, a supplier, for about 1.5 years. If anyone's had an opportunity to sit in on a presentation, whether it's at an academy or a boot camp, you know that we usually talk about IoT solutions. So Ready Wireless, heavily focused on IoT, end-to-end managed services. We cast a pretty wide net in terms of what our capabilities are. And one of the key components that I talk about when discussing true Internet of Things, we're talking about sensor management, asset tracking. At its very simplest form, you're looking at monitoring the location and the condition of a thing. It could be anything, whether it's a shopping cart location or the number of shopping carts on a property. It could be, to your point earlier, Mandy, the door open close on a freezer. It could even be the temperature of the freezer. Again, we have on our platform hundreds of sensors and devices that report into our user interface that help people operate more efficiently. Now, a key component to our IoT solutions is the data transport, right? It's getting that information from the thing, from the sensor, up into the cloud, so we have actionable data to operate with, to make more data-driven decisions with. And as a result of that, Ready Wireless has direct wholesale relationships, truly unfettered access to all the network providers in the United States. And as a result, we have found kind of a niche play, if you will, in terms of providing really unique and unfettered access based on particular usage requirements. And a simple deployment that we have found that pertains primarily to retail would be broadband failover solutions. As you can all imagine, if you don't have access to the internet, the revenue stops, your POS stops, processes stop. It's very difficult to manage a business. And so one of the key components that we offer into the retail space is broadband failover at different levels. Chris, earlier I think you asked Jason about what types of questions you might ask when identifying connectivity solutions. And we find that a lot of the solution is built around the footprint of the property, and then the type of usage that they would be expected, whether it is a temporary solution, if it's a broadband failover solution, or something that's just pop up over a short period of time, maybe seasonal retail. Ready Wireless, because we aren't affiliated with any particular OEM or a particular MNO, national connectivity coverage, we bring a number of different layers of capability to the table. We do have our own platform that helps manage and administer across a single location or many locations if it's chain retail. All of the alerts in terms of usage, expected or unexpected usage, can be set up, and data controls built around particular use cases. When it comes to the broadband failover solutions, we have access to very robust multi-SIM solutions, depending on, as Jason pointed out, location, depending on where your strongest connection or network signal may come from. It may also be something that is driven by the actual number of devices that they need to connect, whether it's their main operation or broadband failover. Something very similar or simple that we deploy, I think you could probably see it here, is an entry level. It's a simplified device. It's basically a Glade air freshener router, if you will. Has a port here that plugs into the network control. It's constantly pinging the network to make sure there's access to the internet. If internet is lost through the network control unit at the property, it automatically fails over to this little device, always on, always powered, plugged into the wall, and can connect up to 35 devices on demand. So, if you think about a convenience store, POS system, lotto system, gas pumps, all can still remain functional if there happens to be a fiber cut or they lose access to their primary carrier. One of the things that we find is that because of our access to the network and it not being a reseller of a particular network program, we have the ability to accommodate what I refer to as bursty usage. If we see a connection that is using little to no data month after month, and then all of a sudden has a need for 500 gigabytes worth of data access, that's all easily accommodated. We aren't billing on a monthly minimum per se, just enough to keep the SIM active on the network. And after that, our access is just billed per gigabyte that's used. So we can either pull that across multiple SIMs, multiple locations across the entire enterprise, or we can just look at it based on a single location. It's important to note when you look at that data access, especially in the large bandwidth usage or unexpected consumption. Our access is not throttled. There's no deprioritization that occurs. No connections that are going to be shut down. So it's always on, always available, regardless of what the amount of data or anticipated consumption needs to be, whether it's anticipated or not. Again, all of that is driven, or really the backbone for our IoT-based solutions. For the sake of brevity, I'm not going to dive too far into what those capabilities look like, but in short, we have cast a pretty wide net, everything from inventory controls to logistics, any type of asset tracking that might occur at distribution centers, retail locations, anywhere on the property. We have the devices available to us to speak into one point of contact or one UI for those customers to manage their business. So with that, we are always open to custom conversations in terms of what particular or temporary use cases may be. Easy to get a hold of, and welcome the opportunity for any future conversations on particular use cases.
Very good. Another great presentation with about a minute left. No last words for 60 seconds.
No, I think I'm good there. Thanks.
All right, you're giving us back time. Great. It helps me out. I'll go ahead and reset the clock here. With that note, Mr. Caruth with Fortify, take it away.
Hey, Chris, thank you very much. Just want to get my screen set here. Share screen.
It's coming up. See, it's got to go to presentation mode and we'll be good. Here we go. Golden.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thank you. Just want to say thank you to everybody for joining. My name is Rick Caruth. I'm Vice President of Partner Sales here at Fortify. We've been in the channel for a couple of years, 3 years now. Very familiar with Telarus. Fortify is a managed wireless aggregator. So what that really means to most of our partners and customers is we manage a relationship at the carrier level for the customer. This allows the customer the flexibility of using multiple carriers without having to go and sign a service agreement with each one of the carriers, right? We have several different products that we work with, right? We do primary internet for many customers where they're looking for that stopgap connection, trying to get their business up on day one. We can drop a circuit overnight to them, typically a 30 to 40 meg circuit up and down. And then in many cases, the customer will end up using that circuit as a failover solution once their primary broadband or fiber is installed. We have multiple different data plans depending on what the customer needs. And we have dual SIM technology utilizing Cradlepoint routers. Allows us just to provide the customer with as much flexibility in their network as possible, right? Our primary internet connections run on anywhere from 100 to 300 gigabit data plans. We do have a Verizon unlimited plan on C-band. And then on the backup solutions, we have pooled plans across multiple carriers, right? We can do a 1, 2, and 5 and 10 gigabit data plan pooled across Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, depending on what's the best fit for each one of their locations. And some of the recent use case wins that we had a large restaurant group down in Florida. We just closed out a 140 location deal for them. Really was just a SIM only solution. They already had all their Cradlepoint devices in place. They were just looking for a more flexible company to work with that could provide them a pooled data plan across all their sites, but we could also pool it across multiple carriers, and it just made it much more convenient for them. We also closed the deal out in the Southwest with 120 location, a large pizza chain that can't mention their name on here, but we went in and replaced an existing wireless service provider that the customer just wasn't having good success with, and we did a complete replacement of their devices along with pooling a data plan across all their locations. 5G is really probably one of the biggest spin words out there in the marketplace right now. We find that 5G is not always ready everywhere, and the majority of the 5G that we're seeing is really the low band bonded 5G. I always try to let customers know that, from a data plan perspective, we don't charge anything different from a 5G connection to a 4G connection. The only cost differential would be the device pricing when we start talking about 5G versus 4G. And a lot of times customers realize that 4G works just as well for backup as 5G does. One of the big things that we're working on right now is our physical security as a service, where we've incorporated a Verkada command center solution utilizing Verkada cameras, access control, air quality sensors, and alarms. A lot of customers are that we're talking to now find this is a unique product in the retail space. It helps most customers with loss prevention, people and vehicle analytics, along with reducing theft and overall revenue loss. And it's also very simple and scalable for customers that have multi-locations in the retail space. So the other thing is that we do a lot with IoT sensors. It was brought up earlier in reference to the fact that refrigeration sensors, right? We just did a quote for a large restaurant group that has a bunch of sub shops, and the challenge they run into is that they have these clipboards hanging on the wall where they ask their people to go ahead and monitor the hourly temperature of their refrigeration unit, and it's up to the young kids working in the sub shop as to whether they write the same thing down or they just repeat what was there the hour previously, right? Where putting sensors in those refrigeration trays will allow the customer to actually have a single pane of glass access to all those temperature sensors and be able to see when there's a true issue and get a notification when there's an issue. So a lot of IoT products, right? And the other thing is that a lot of retail stores are moving to having panic button solutions for their employees, especially when it comes to monitoring for retail theft and any sort of issues within the organization, right? And that really covers it, Chris. From our perspective, everything we do from a 4G, 5G perspective is month to month. So, we're here if anybody needs us, reach out to your Telarus channel manager, and we're here to help.
Fantastic. That was a rapid fire. I appreciate you. You covered a lot. And as always, there's a lot more to know, right? There's more questions and discovery all the suppliers can help you with as a partner. So on that note, yeah, we'll keep on trucking here. And Modus, you're up.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let's see if we got the share going here. There we go. Let's see. Almost there. Sorry about that.
No problem.
There we go.
It's coming in. Yeah, it's popping in.
We got it?
Go. Up. Got it.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. How are you? I hope everyone's having a good Friday, ready for the weekend. So I'm Joel Urano. I'm the CEO of Boda Systems. We're based out of Dallas, Texas. We bring a little bit different slant to the channel. We are bringing EV chargers and digital signage with programmatic advertising. So the unique thing about these two solutions, and a couple other things, of course, but the unique thing about these two solutions is that they're actually revenue generators for your customer. So, chargers, they make money. You know, you get a customer come and plug into the charging station. If your customer buys the charger, then they make money on the charger. Right? Anything they purchase, or from an electricity standpoint, it's their electric account. So let me jump in. There we go. Two basic types of chargers. I can tell you right now, everybody always says this, and I'm going to go really fast because I've got 8 slides here in 10 minutes. Two basic types of chargers: level 2 chargers, which you might see, you know, at a hotel, at your home, and then level 3 chargers. The difference between the level 2 chargers, level 3 chargers is pretty significant. Level 2 chargers are going to be in about the $3,500 range and below. So 3,500 on the high end. In the level 3 chargers, those things can get upwards of $250,000 a piece. So quite significant in terms of difference in price. You know, we've worked with a lot of your counterparts in the Telarus ecosystem, and you know, a lot of them say, hey, well, we want the biggest, baddest, fastest level 3 charger. And I'll tell you right now, as much as we'd love to sell it to them, we're really doing a disservice in a lot of cases. So, you know, we want to make sure that we right size the right charger for the right opportunity. For example, in this level 3 charger, this thing's going to charge a car in as little 30 minutes. Well, if you put in a hotel and the guest plugs in overnight, they're going to start getting a notice after half an hour they need to come down and move their car. Versus the level 2 charger, this one up above, or one of them, right? That's going to take all night to charge. So, right, they can plug in, leave the car there, and they come down in the morning, it's ready to go. So, you know, there's a lot of variables come into play here, but we walk, you know, you and the customer through all of that. And then, you know, you guys hear it a couple of times. I think, you know, our experience with the Telarus partners have done a fantastic job, you know, passing that message along to the customer. So the benefits. So you get real-time visibility in your charging stations. If they own the charging stations, they control access. So meaning, we actually got a project, one of the Telarus partners right now, the construction's about to start, but we're ripping out Tesla chargers, the level 2, putting them into hotels, because the hotel said, look, we got people that aren't even staying with us that are coming use our charger, and we can't control them. So in this case, it's, you know, with these solutions, so the chargers we bring, the customer can control the charger. Here's the price. Here's when they're available. Here's who can use them. I mean, there's a whole host of features and functions built into the chargers. This one happens to be the one with the advertising on it. I'll get to that here in just a sec. Most important thing though, these are networks. So, you know, we do get asked often, is there a IoT play, a data center play? Unfortunately not. They're built into the charger. They're, you know, they're physical burned in SIM. So unfortunately, no cellular activity on the charger, but there is something we can talk about on the advertising. So benefits: you can monetize your parking lot. You know, a lot of business, they bring in new customers. You know, I mean, think about it. If someone's got to stop, right? You don't have to be a gas station, or maybe they stop at a. I mean, we've got one that's going to start here pretty soon. It's a distillery down near Austin, Texas. And well, oh darn it! Now you have to sit there. Unfortunately, it's a bar, so you probably don't want to drink too much. But you know, they're going to sit in the bar. In fact, and that was a great example of the owner saying, "We want the fastest charger we can get." And they came back and said, "Well, don't you want one that maybe isn't as fast, and maybe they sit in your restaurant or bar a little bit longer and spend some more money, right? Your ticket sales will go up." So, oh, good point. So we dialed it back. You know, we stepped it down a couple notches, and right, and that just made the most sense for his business. You know, with the growth of EVs, I'm sure everyone's seeing all the news about there. That it's just this is coming, whether you like it or not. You're either going to be Redbox or not Redbox. You'll be Netflix, or you're going to be Blockbuster in this case with the EV charging. Tax benefits, tax credits, promotional services, sustainability initiatives. So happy to get into all of that. Again, I apologize, just going quick here to keep on track here. So smart strategy and digital marketing. So here's an example of one of the screens in the window, and you know, this looks like it's a bakery or some kind of food restaurant, and you can see it's got a chase ad. So so we can put these up. We effectively are saying, hang this in the window, and these things are going to generate recurring revenue to the customer. It also generates a recurring commission to you as the sales partner. So, you know, everybody loves recurring revenue. And these are, you know, multi-year, 3-5 year contracts. So, you know, it could be 3 to 5 years of recurring commission for every screen. There's a couple of options. You can see programmatic ad revenue. So they typically run in like 8 advertisements. They'll cycle through 8. And what we try and do is we put 5 to 6 of them as national brand advertising, like you see, like Chase, you see here, and then we leave a couple slots for the business owner for them to put their own promotions up. We've actually got another couple advertising solutions that are about to be live, and they can even increase revenue even more with more local advertising for, let's say, whoever is right next door to this restaurant here in this example, right, where they can maybe put their ad. Yes, they can control who shows up, so you wouldn't want other restaurants, other food service providers, but Chase probably is not a competitor to this restaurant here, so we can't control which advertisements show up and which don't. In the marketing, I'll just tell you right now, these are the hotspots. These are the top 50 digital marketing areas in the US. And if you got customers in these top 20, these things are a slam dunk. They are a slam dunk. Top 50 is still good. Start getting out of top 50, the ad revenue starts to fall off a bit, but you can still put the screens up and you can still get the local advertising in these. So, we definitely have some things to work on there in terms of, well, not work on it, the value they're trying to present for additional value on local advertising. There's a number of screens we've got in Austin, Texas already. You can see Austin's number 40, and they're going in liquor stores. And those things are knocking out of the park in terms of ad revenue, because the brands that are advertising in the liquor stores, Crown, Sky Vodka, Tito's Vodka, Beers, so the brands that are in those stores where they've got product for sale typically buy up those advertising slots pretty quickly. And it's just a win. It's a win for the business. So 2 options on the EV charging. And so the customer, we happy to sell the deal to the customer. I want to make sure I get this point out there because it's not in this deck. This is a full-on construction project. So we get into this, just know this could be a 2, 3, 4, 5 month cycle to get this thing, once we get them signed and done. But as long as you get that understanding, we're good. So the 2 ownership options is the customer can buy them, right? And you can see here's the pros and cons. Like they get increase in the value of property on their cap rate calculation. They get tax incentives, state utility rebates potentially, depending on where they're at, right? It's amenity to their customer. Again, you don't want to be Blockbuster. You want to be Netflix. Opportunity for advertising, getting your business ready for the future, reducing carbon footprint, right? But these are expensive. They can be very expensive. We quoted out a deal. Actually, we won it yesterday. Hadn't even told Chris about it, and it was $60,000 for $30,000 at each hotel. And recurring commission to the partner, and but the owner has control. The other example in this owner-operator model is where if the customer doesn't really want to be in the EV charging business, but they want chargers at their location, then we have a partner we're working with, and they'll actually pay for everything. They'll pay for the charger, they'll pay for the installation, the whole 9 yards, maintenance, everything. And then they'll just do a rev share back to your partner or your customer, I'm sorry. And the benefit there, look, there's no out-of-pocket cost to your customer. It just gets super simple that way, right? It's an easy project. There's a little bit of back and forth. The owner operators got, they're going to have their opinion on where they want the chargers placed in the parking lot, and really comes down, where's the power? And just quickly, we had one customer where the customer said, "Oh, I want it at the north end of the parking lot." Well, the transformer was at the south end, and the difference between where he wanted the customer wanted it and where the transformer was at was about $60,000 in install costs. So once he understood that difference, he said, "Nope, south end of the parking lot's fine." So so there's a little bit of give and take there. Renewable energy. So we're also doing solar projects. This is a car dealership where we've got solar. So these solar panels you can see there in the illustration, they actually went up. The awnings were created, built or constructed and put. And so this is a Mercedes-Benz dealership, right? So now this dealership runs 100% off of solar during the day. They tap it in the grid at night, and the solar panels here also acted as covering for the cars. So you don't see many cars out there on lots because they're all underneath the panel. So it was really a double win for this dealership, right? And then the customer gets all the federal tax incentives and tax credits. So some of these things, the customer could get up to $100,000 per site in tax credit, right? So not a deduction, not an offset. If they've got liability of $100,000, they can apply the credit, and that income tax liability goes away. So we help them understand that and work with their accounting team and our accountants to get those things sorted out. Just a little bit more benefits on the solar, and we'll share this deck with everyone here. Here are the hotspots for solar, right? I mean, it's no surprise, Arizona, Southern California, Nevada, right? But these are really the hotspots and good places. No surprise if you look at the Pacific Northwest, not as much sun up there, so not ideal for solar. But this is a good map of where the really good locations for solar are. And here is Casey's information. For if you haven't ever dealt with or met Casey Stackhouse, he's our CRO. There's his email and phone number. And we got a customer portal. We can put you through a quick 15-minute training how to enter your locations and get that process started. So I think I went pretty quick, Chris, giving some time back again.
Yeah, you nailed it. That was a good job. Appreciate it. Again, another interesting, unique technology that not only retail, you mentioned a few others, hospitality, apartment complexes. Yeah, in fact, a lot of these solutions we're talking about, we're gearing them toward retail because retail benefits for them. But obviously, these things cross over into other verticals as well. So with that, Mr. Franklin Claro, take it away, sir.
Stop here. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
And probably good afternoon. For some of you, probably good morning, depending on where you are signed up this year, on this presentation. So let me click on here. Yeah, so sure, good afternoon again. My name is Franklin DeJoy. I'm one of the channel managers.
Go up to display settings and
click that. My apologies for that.
Yeah, sharing the wrong one. Just click that display settings and you can switch.
There you go.
And then swap. There you go. Right there. There you go. Now we got you.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Again, I'm Franklin, the channel manager here at Claro Enterprise Solutions. So thank you for the opportunity to kind of share one specific product that is really taken off in our space, and we're getting a tremendous amount of attention from the channel community. So I'm going to walk you through some slides and kind of give you the meat of the potato, the solution. So as you kind of thinking about the current client that you currently have or opportunities of clients that you can go after, this is going to give you some ideas on who to go after, right? What are the challenges a lot of the retail establishments are facing, right? And think about from a mall standpoint, shopping centers, not necessarily the small retail stores, right? But some of these larger malls that are challenged with how do we secure our facility? How do we protect our customer? How do we make this more engaging for a customer experience for more people to visit the mall, right? Malls, shopping centers are kind of struggling to get people into the malls. So hopefully by providing better security and some of the features you're going to see today, that they'll be able to accomplish some of that. But this is the challenge that face a lot of these malls is how do we track some of this incident? Unfortunately, we hear a lot of cases of shootings, people being attacked in bathrooms and so on. So what our solution helps this process a lot smoother and make it easier. So I'm going to give you some real life scenarios in cases that companies are kind of looking for, right? So this is called intrusion detection. So we can create actually a region of interest and put in a line and say, hey, if anybody crosses this line, I want to be notified. Notification can come in many different ways. It could be an SMS. It can be an email. It can be notifying the police department directly. So the idea is to create that immediate notification and alerts to be able to take action, real-time actions, instead of having to wait the next day to kind of view the cameras and be able to make some changes. On the bottom part screen, you kind of see a region of interest. So, but as you can see, the camera is actually that far away. So that kind of gives folks an opportunity to see that if anyone crosses this line here, to make sure that they notify someone is alerted to, whether it's an administrator, it could be a security staff, anyone who's responsible for safety. So this is what we're trying to do with our AI video analytics, intrusion detection. People were breaking into a facility at night. If you have infrared cameras, It can detect someone walking into the back of an office or a retail store. You can kind of see someone crouch here in the corner. Again, is how do we provide safety using our technology? The biggest one, obviously, weapon detection, right? We kind of seen that in Texas and other part of the country, there's been some massive shooting inside the malls. So this is a big one, not only in the retail space, but in the education space, government facilities. We're getting a lot of attention from our partners wanting to, hey, how do I go about providing more safety to our clients? So the AI can actually detect a handgun, shotgun, rifle, machete, even a holster. So again, the idea is that you're not going to probably, in some cases, stop an attack, but the idea is to kind of get notification as quickly as possible. A 1 minute, 2 minute alert can really save lives and get the police to respond a lot faster. Smoke and fire detection, outdoors and indoors. Again, on a larger facility, such as a mall or shopping center, you really don't get to see the smoke until it hits the smoke detector. Our AI video analytics can see the fire as soon as it starts off, right? It could be a kid playing with a match. It could be a dumpster outside. So the idea is, again, to create quick, immediate notifications. This is a particular case what we call cross detection. So let's say someone it's in a mall setting or a retail place. We can actually point all the cameras to track one individual that happens to be in the mall. It could be someone suspicious. It could be someone that actually came into one of the stores and robbed someone. So we can all now take the AI smart enough to know and to follow that person throughout the entire mall. And if there's a floor plan attached, we can follow it through the entire floor plan of that particular, location. So really powerful. Again, we're focusing on the safety side of it, but I'm going to show you some cases that is not necessarily just in the safety, which again is a big component of our solution. People counting, right? So you can see there is a graphic here of people waiting in line. We're working with a very large cosmetic retailer that is concerned with people waiting in line. Hey, I want to know that if there's more than 5 people waiting in line, I want a manager to be notified. We can count people and provide detailed reporting on the time, the dates that these thresholds were kind of broken for again. So this is for management to be able to make decisions on to have people on the registers and so on. Also generate occupancy, how many people are walking through the front of the store, getting an idea of those scenarios. Abnormal events. We're working with a large retail supermarket store that is concerned with the lawsuits of people claiming they fell. So our AI can determine someone walking and sliding over, getting up, back down again. So again, this is the way to protect themselves and many frivolous claims that are happening out there. Intrusion detection at night. Someone's not supposed to be walking the facilities at night. It can, and you can set thresholds at 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. or later times if you like. It will send a notification. So these are very key components. If someone falling, you want to make sure that they get aid and attention to. We can provide that with our AI analytics. Object search. Our object search is powerful, where it can do searches in about maybe 1.7 seconds per search. It can search for a purse. It can look for vehicles. It can look for a kid in a backpack walking around the mall or inside the facility. So very powerful search engine within the AI capabilities. Vehicle counting, again, if someone's trying to open up a new store, they want to collect a lot of the data. We provide very detailed vehicle counting, whether it's bicycle, motorcycle, buses, name it, and we can provide very detailed reporting just using a drop line and be able to count that instead of the old kind of behavior that you see a line kind of throwing in car driving over it. This is a more sophisticated way, more accurate as well. Objects left behind. We have airports throughout the world that use our technology, and uses for obviously for airport people leaving bags behind, whether good intention or bad intentions. We can track it and notify security for them to kind of retrieve the bags. Heat map, I think Jason alluded at the beginning of the conversation on, hey, how do we get better revenue for being at the back of the store, at the front of the store? I'm actually working with a large dealership in Illinois that is going to use our technology to place different model cars in their showroom and determine which one gets the most attention, right? So if one particular model gets more attention than the other, remove the ones that don't get a lot of attention by customers and bring in a different car. So they want to be used that AI solution to be able to track that. Also in the access control, we can create a line and kind of see who's walking in there. Obviously, theft is a big concern in the retail space. So using the AI, we can kind of track who's walking in an area that is not meant to be and so on. This is our super sensor. You can place cameras inside of a bathroom anywhere. Our super sensor can really make a big difference. Designed really with the mind instead of education schools, but in a retail space, you can kind of have those centralized bathroom where really hard to man. This sensor can actually determine if someone's smoking marijuana, cigarettes, THC, can sense sensors as in voice sensors, and hey, I'm getting beat up. Someone's getting maybe feeling ill and is kind of throwing up and needs medical attention. So the idea is that we can protect not only folks, but also protect the facility as well. Shot spotter kind of hears any shots inside a bathroom. Very key component to our solution. You can place a camera outside those bathrooms where those super sensors are, and it can kind of see who's coming in and out to be able to send those images to an administrator or security to hopefully, do an arrest or try to prevent any additional harms. These are all the third-party company integrations we work with. So if you have, primarily our solution is unique because they work with existing cameras. That's one of the key components, that you don't have to come in and replace cameras throughout the facility, which could be very costly. Our value proposition is that we can work with any camera in the marketplace. How it really works, and I won't get into all the technical background, but it's an appliance that sits behind the firewall of the facility. We get the video stream from any different type of camera, whether it's analog or digital, analyze the video, and based on the cases that we kind of mentioned, we can send alerts. We can call the police department directly. They can call a fire department and obviously send on a notification. Really powerful tool. Again, our solution is being kind of geared and brought up by our partner community and getting a lot of attention. Our product is sold on an MRC, so it's really easy for retailers and the commercial space to be able to acquire our solutions. So I highly recommend that you reach out to us to do a full demo with your clients. We have channel managers throughout the country that can support you, whether in the Northeast, Southeast, where I am, but then also in the West Coast as well. So we're great with the partnership we've had with Telarus for over the last 5 years. I've done a lot of the IoT academies, and this 10-minute fire hose is really different than the typical half hour, 45 minutes. So nonetheless, thank you, Chris, and thank you, everyone else.
Good. Yeah, they did good. And that was great. Again, a lot to take in. I love seeing companies like Claro and Windstream and all these aggregators are bringing all these technologies together in emerging technology areas. It's no longer just about connectivity. Connectivity is always important. You got to have it, but all these other areas we're talking about are becoming more and more critical. Technology is evolving, business is evolving, and we as sales professionals must evolve with it. And I applaud you for being here today, watching this recording. And with that conversation, we're going to continue on. Mr. Skyler Stewart at Epic IO, take it away.
Thanks, Chris. Everybody. Skyler Stewart, Vice President of Sales here at Epic IO. Franklin, if you can stop sharing, I'll take over. Thank you, sir. Appreciate everyone's time. So let me get my screen share on. All right, are we good there? Okay, perfect. Thanks, everybody. All right, so we're going to hop in. I'm going to share some use cases real quick, and thanks for everybody giving me a few extra minutes from the other suppliers. But so with IoT, AI, and connectivity, right? So here's kind of an example of the art of the possible, but here's the problem, right? Because you'll get customers that will come to you and say, hey, I need a sensor, and I need a sensor for this. And you go, okay, yeah, there's plenty of sensors out there, right? But what's the why? What's the why? And we have these conversations all the time with customers. Well, we want to see how many people are coming into our store. Why? What is the outcome that the retailer is actually looking for, right? Because this is our job as a community, is to truly educate your customers on the outcome and how we get to that outcome, right? Because you can have a sensor for everything. But what are you going to do with the data? What kind of insights do you want? You just have to drill down a couple more layers to really get to the outcome, right? Because they don't know. So there is so much that you can do with AI and IoT. The one thing I will tell you is to start small. You know, a lot of the other suppliers did a great job on talking about the connectivity piece. And that's an easy starting point, whether that's backup point of sale or temporary until if it's a new build, right? Or backup for point of sale. And I will tell you, that's an easy sale. And obviously you need connectivity from an IoT and AI standpoint. Some of our largest customers on the IoT and AI front started with just connectivity in the retail space. We have large pizza chains, large retailers, high-end retailers in fashion, you name it, but it started with connectivity. And then we layered on basically solving problems on top of that infrastructure from there. And so I'm going to hop over to, I'm going to show this live. So this is kind of our retail solution. Can you see that, Chris? Okay. So this is a live dashboard specifically for retail, right? And to that point of the why of really trying to get to the outcome or the problem that you're trying to solve is, okay, I want, to that example earlier, I want a sensor. I want to see how many people are coming into our store. Well, what's the why behind that? Well, in these locations, we're really seeing a drop in revenue. Okay, there's the actual outcome that we're trying to solve, right? And that's where sensor fusion comes into play. And if anybody hasn't heard of sensor fusion, it's really collecting data from multiple endpoints. That could be a camera, that could be a sensor monitoring or collecting data from something. And then that is kind of the edge deployment of sensor fusion. And then what are you going to do with that data? And this is where our deep insights platform comes into play, right? And so in this example, in a retail environment, this is a live dashboard. This gives an overarching view to a multi-location retailer to say, okay, I've got all these different manufacturers of cameras and I want to see that, right? But then I want to drill down into the actual spaces of how many people are in my store in Phoenix or in LA or in New York. Okay, I've got really good traction here and I've got people entering in my LA store within the front entrance, right? So who is coming and going, people entering, people exiting, and basically what's your full occupancy level. And if there's any events behind that, right? So you see over here on the right with this dashboard, these are certain events that we will program and put an algorithm around to say, these are anomalies. And in this live scenario, this is actually a data center closet, right? So it's a restricted zone. This is outside of the retail front. Now we want to see how many people are within our store, the heat mapping, the shelves, which I'll talk about in a second. But then is there any other events from someone in the back in the loading dock or someone in the telco closet where they shouldn't be, right? So we'll set those algorithms so that your retailer can have a holistic view of all operations and insights into their businesses, especially in a multi-location environment. And if we drill into a specific location, and I think I owe Jason Kaufman $10 for kind of teeing this up on shelf space. So this is a model that we've created. And again, this is live to where we'll actually create, again, this is sensor fusion. This is combining IoT sensor monitoring with artificial intelligence in a retail environment. So this is live video, right? And so we've basically created our model to say this is shelf 1, 2, 3, or 4. And who's accessing that shelf at any time, right? And so with the combination of IoT and AI, we're able to determine what products are moving at a absolute shelf level, right? So here's the actual products being taken off of shelf 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And what that does for the retailer, right? Because a lot of the time, especially in alcohol and sales and things like that, you really have to buy your shelf space to get in there. And if you're not a big brand, the big retailers are able to provide these vendors to say, hey, people are really interested in your product. The dwell time around this shelf space is really good, but no one's really buying that product, and why, right? So now you're actually able to give the true insights to the retailer of all the activity that's going on in a store. So again, what's the shelf access? How many people in what's their dwell time, right? So then you can actually give insights to the retailers. Hey, you guys need to be more engaging at location A with the customers walking into your store, right? And then you have all of the different events. These events being someone has accessed shelf 1, 2, 3, or 4 in this scenario. And then drilling down into heat mapping. This was brought up a few different times, right? So you want to get a holistic view of where customers are coming into your store and where they're gravitating towards, right? So you can see here, we can even get down into specific zones within a retail, right? So in this shelf space, we want to see what the heat mapping is and what the dwell time. Now you have a holistic view of where people are gravitating towards, so that now you can give your retailer insights if they need to adjust the storefronts, if they want to move a certain product or they have promotions available. Now you have full insights into the heat mapping of that specific store, from the entrance to a certain product shelf, you name it, right? So I'm going to hop back over. Chris, keep me good on time here. I think I got a couple more minutes. So a couple other examples.
You get 3 minutes.
Okay. All right, a couple other examples. So curbside pickup, this has been a big thing for us, and I actually threw this on as the presentations were going on, so I probably should have took it at the logo, but now you know who we're working with from a pilot standpoint. And same kind of situation that I mentioned at the beginning. They said, well, how do we speed up? We're really good. We're really dominant in the market in terms of customer experience, moving customers through, but I think we can improve on that. And so we basically had a conversation of the why, right? Drilling into that. And it was simple, right? It wasn't as complex as I was talking about before, but we want to generate more revenue. We want to stay in front of the marketplace in terms of our customer experience. And so we've created the model for this retailer to say, all right, you want to see how many cars are coming in, what the average wait time is, and then how do we staff up to actually walk out with a tablet to actually enter your order, right? To get those customers through more efficiently and more quicker from a revenue standpoint and customer experience standpoint. So that's exactly what this is, right? Is monitoring vehicles, and we can identify the make, model, color of the vehicle, the dwell time as you pull in through the drive-through, right? And then you're able to send alerts that is sitting inside of that that fast food or that QSR to say, hey, now we're backing up. The average dwell time has exceeded our threshold that we predetermined. And now we're going to start setting off alerts from text messages, automated phone calls, popping up on a display within the restaurant saying, hey, we're backing up now. Let's start moving this food out quicker, right? And so all aspects of that, again, coming back to that sensor fusion, it's not just one sensor. It's not just one solution. It's the why, which is really the outcome. And so it does take multiple components of technology to really get to the why or solving that problem for the retailer. But that's just a couple examples of what we're doing within the partner community, within Telarus. So actually one more. I'll throw this in here. People mentioned slip and fall, I believe, earlier. So we created a model for a large retailer, right? So this obviously being a loss prevention and a liability standpoint. There's examples out there, you can Google it, from the large big box stores that have had customers slip and fall several times, right? It was caught on video. The first person slipped. They didn't clean up the spillage. The second person slipped, still the same outcome. No one actually knew about it. The third person slipped, broke their hip. Now there's a lawsuit and there's millions of dollars that big box retailer is forking over because they're just on pure negligence, right? So having that ability to be able to determine by body language and all of these data points to say this person has slipped and fall, immediately notify, go help that person clean up the spillage to eliminate liability and lawsuits. So I will end it there.
Fantastic. And other than working with the Telarus sales team and our engineering team, you guys also have regional channel managers across the country, right? Is there any preferred way they can contact them?
Yes, I had a slide on that. So Skylar Stewart, I'll put that up back up real quick. It's skylar.stewart@epicio.com. Just shoot me an email. Happy to help. We've got a whole team across the country, across the globe now that will support you.
Oh, fantastic. And again, you can always look into Telarus back office for a lot of that information as well. So that's probably a better answer for you as well. So a few questions. Casey, is Joel still on? Oh, yeah, I see both of you guys. One of the questions going back a minute or so around solar panels for Kenneth. He asked, for solar panels, is it upfront cost or is there an offset from the tax credits? Any information on solar panel investment for Modus?
Yeah. So on solar panels, customer does buy those. That is not an owner operator, but the credits there, like I said, the credits on these panels are pretty high. So there's a chance to offset the entire cost.
So the credits, in theory, at least over time, will compensate them for the investment. Is that the idea? Right. I think that's what I got from that. Okay, good. All right, excellent. So yes, great rapid fire, 60 minutes of 6 different suppliers. It's the fastest show in town with the most technology. I love it. Again, this is just the beginning of the conversation. I'll send out this recording. Before we wrap, though, are there any other questions? Anything else, partners? Any questions you have? If you have questions, I encourage you to reach out or at least reply back when these suppliers reach out to you over the next coming week. They'll be touching base with you. Again, there's always more to the story. A lot of these suppliers have different tools and marketing material and collateral that you can use to kind of get the conversation going. Get to know these suppliers now before you have the big opportunity, because it happens a lot. I see it a lot. Maybe this afternoon, on Friday afternoon, I'll get the urgent call. Chris, I got a big meet Monday morning. Can we get, Windstream in here to present, or can we get Moser to present? And it's like, well, obviously, if we could swing it, we'll all make our best effort. But best practice, obviously, is have that existing relationship where that first call with your client isn't the first call with the supplier. Get to know them, know their sales cycle, know, if there's any minimums or maxes, or get all that out of the way now. So when you're ready to go, because all these things we're talking about are just becoming more and more available, more in need. Just watch the news, do some research. It's a hot area with IoT and all things mobility. So with that, check. Let's see, Modus, the parking lot chargers we see in front of Target, etc.
Level 2 or level 3.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've actually seen both, right? And a lot of times it's not Target that's working that deal. It's often the property management firm or the group that owns that land. So that's why it's not the same. So it could be level 2 chargers, definitely could be level 3 chargers, could be both.
Just depends on what investment they want to make, right?
That's correct.
Excellent. I want to share one more thing and we can wrap here momentarily. I just want to give you guys another QR code to scan. If I have a podcast called The Wireless Way, over 70 interviews, almost 75 now, almost exclusively in the area of mobility, wireless, and IoT. Some of the suppliers on this call are on the podcast, so check that out, as well as a YouTube channel with over 100 Wireless Wednesday 2 or 3 minute little snippets, and a one pager that's very helpful of these suppliers and others in this space. Don't forget about the matrix in the back office. That's also a great tool to work with alongside that checklist.telarus.com. A lot of tools, engineers, solution architects, and don't forget about project managers and account managers after the sale as an additional option of tools and resources. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time for a study hall next month, as well as another vertical specific topic coming up. So look for that invite coming to you shortly. So thanks a lot and have a great weekend.